There's some food in you. Step 3, you grow hard about what you want to be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up.
Welcome to Tales from the Field. We are back and better than ever. This time it's for real. We're really online. Sorry, technical malfunction, which is why we are a little bit late. Once again, that's on me. That's on me, guys. Sorry about that. So once again, my name is Bradley Ball. Thank you so much for joining us on Tales from the Field. Last week, Daniel Taylor presented near real-time, very large database migrations to Azure SQL database with 0 to no downtime. And then on Tuesday, we had our Azure Data Community Roundtable. On Wednesday, I was back with how to pass parameters between notebooks and parent and child notebooks in Microsoft Fabric. Then on Monday, I was back again with introduction to availability zones for Azure SQL Database and Managed Instance. So much to do, so much to see. You don't want to miss a thing. This is your first time making it over to Tales from the Field. Give us a like and give us a subscribe. We drop content every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Today is Tuesday, so it is the Azure Data Community Roundtable. We are here to celebrate the creators in the Azure Data community for the Azure Data community. Want to interact with the show? It is so easy to do so. We are streaming on our hub at YouTube, and all you have to do is make a comment on the stream. One of my amazing co-hosts will see that, and they will add you your comment to the stream, and you will be a part of the stream. Anil, the Synth Magic. Hey, y'all. Great seeing you, Anil. Wonderful to have you with us. So again, keep those comments coming. We truly appreciate you. I am joined by, let me talk about these amazing co-hosts that I have that will add your comments to the chat. I am joined by the mountain man, Mr. Daniel Taylor, the man in the hat, Mr. Josh Luedeman. The best beard in the business is missing because I got Mr. Clean Shaven George Clooney sitting down there at the bottom, Mr. Andreas Padilla. And then Batman has a utility belt, but this man doesn't need one because he's a walking utility belt. It's your friend of mine, Neeraj Jhaveri. Quick call to action. This is the Azure Data Community Roundtable. So what do we want you to do? Well, we want you to participate in the Azure Data community. And how are you going to do this? Well, what you're going to do is you're going to go over to the Microsoft website where we're hosting the Azure Data community. You're going to click on Find a User Group, and you're going to go find a user group in your area and participate with it. There are so many wonderful user groups meeting in person. Also, if you can't make it, there are many who are also still meeting virtually. That was something that was going on long before COVID. So don't think that's a COVID thing. It was always a way for the community to connect. So go check out that page and go find a local user group so you can be a part of the community. Then after you join the community, what do we want you to do? Well, we want you to get some free training. We want you to network. We want you to head over to a SQL Saturday because SQL Saturdays are the best local option where you will find in-person training from Microsoft experts like everybody you're seeing here today. We all go to SQL Saturdays and we speak at SQL Saturdays. We teach pre-cons at SQL Saturdays. As a matter of fact, coming up on May the 4th, may the 4th be with you, little Star Wars SQL Saturday, we've got Jacksonville, Florida. And of course, down in Jacksonville, Florida, we're going to have this amazing pre-con, unlocking AI potential to the data professional, Azure OpenAI with Buck Woody, Andreas Padilla, Josh Luedeman, Neeraj Jhaveri, Daniel Taylor, and Bradley Ball. That's right, the whole Tales from the Field crew plus Buck Woody. I mean, wow, talk about a handful. I don't even know what to do with all that. You're not going to know what to do with all that, but you're going to have us there for 6 hours teaching you about AI and who better to learn from. After you go and you get that great training at SQL Saturday and you participate in the community, where else should you go? We'll go over to Data Saturday and check out the wonderful events that they have from around the world that are virtual events that you may be able to participate in. At each of these events, you're going to find some of the best consultants in the industry. You're going to find people from Microsoft product groups, all looking to interact, to network, and also to help grow your knowledge. And speaking of growing your knowledge, there's one other call to action we've got. We want you to head over to LinkedIn, join our Fabric Learning channel. We're over 2,000 members strong. And if you're a creator, as a matter of fact, some of the content you're going to see on the roundtable today comes directly from this list. And we would love to have you over there joining us. Whew. That was a lot. Andreas, talk to me, Goose. How was your weekend, buddy?
Oh, the weekend was mowing the lawn. That was my weekend. and I did what's called a picanha on the barbecue. It's a nice sirloin steak. It's about 3 pounds. It looks like this. It's the size of the head. It's called reverse searing. Look that up on YouTube. The reverse sear method is the best way. 50 minutes on the grill, low heat, not direct flame. Man, you won't go wrong. You can get them out of
You had me,
Costco.
I was going to say you had me at picanha. I'm down, man. Oh, that sounds great. And Anil, yes, we got to make sure and mention to our great folks over in Austin, Texas. I love Austin. Austin is one of the most beautiful cities I've ever been to. It's so many wonderful things to do in Austin. I've got family over there. Their SQL Saturday is on March the 9th. That's actually going to be the day that we're having my daughter's birthday party. She turns 14. We are in those prime time teenage years. So good luck. I make sure and get out there. That is a great event. As a matter of fact, 1 year when it's not on my daughter's birthday, I am totally going to be there because I love Austin. Any chance that we can make it out there, I've always had a wonderful time presenting to the community out there. So
Plus,
that's
they're always
just
keeping
absolutely
it
awesome.
weird. Yeah, they're always keeping it weird in Austin. I love that logo. This logo.
I love that logo too. They've got it in Portland first. I need to know who came up with it first. I'm going to give the edge to Austin because Anil's here. So that's what I'm sticking with. And nobody's going to tell me otherwise. Josh, how about you, buddy? What did you get into this weekend?
So for us as a family, we've been having a tough couple of weeks with our dog being under the weather, and so this weekend we got the house around, or we had her back this weekend. We got her back Friday from being in the hospital for a week. So this weekend was, as far as Tales from the Field standards, we were a little boring this weekend, but it was nice to have her back, and her and I spent a lot of time together hanging out. My wife and the girls went out to see a friend on their birthday, but yeah, for me it was just chilling with Coco, getting her back in the right direction.
I love it, man. No, that's the priorities are right there. Neeraj, how about you? Any fun plans this weekend?
So for grilling people, it was cold in New York, so most of the time was inside the house. But I had planning for my daughter's Sweet 16, which is on March 13th. So planning for that, I just don't know what she wants to end up doing. So, I mean, she has all sorts of ideas. First, she wanted to go out with her friends. Now she wants to do it at home. So just going back the roller coaster ride.
That is beautiful, man. Well, happy birthday to her. I'm going to remember to be able to say that a little bit closer to the day. Yeah, I was going to say, Adil, hope Coco feels better. Me too, brother. Coco is one of the sweetest dogs I've ever known in my life. I'm so happy that Coco is home safe with at the Luedeman household. Dan, I see that sub T-shirt. I don't know why it's making me think of Bob's Burgers. Is that having something to do with the art, or am I just reading into that?
No, it's Sub Pop, but they did it in honor of Bob's Burgers, one of my favorite cartoons that I still love to this day. Bob is he's an underrated, and you got Louise, and then I so relate to Gene day in day out. But yeah, no, it's a reference to Bob's Burgers, definitely. And there's the train.
I was going to say, there's the train, man. They're running right on time. Well, we know that we're on time, and it's time for us to get over to the reason that people came here today. And I'm going to start with some electrifying content. And you know who it comes from. It comes from an electrifying human being. And of course, I am talking about Mr. Neeraj Jhaveri, data flows, Gen 2, data destinations, and managed settings. Neeraj, what have we got here?
So now I think it's announced that you can do data destination. So what it means is you can select the destination instead of just putting into the one lake. You can put it into Azure SQL. Right now, these are the only supported destination, but yeah, definitely it's going to grow. Azure SQL database, store queries, Fabric Lakehouse Warehouse, or Fabric KQL databases. What you can do is if you go down, it shows you step by step how to do that. So if you go to that destination tab on there, you'll now see all these different types of destination, and then you can start building your data flow Gen 2, creating to any of the existing database or anything of the. You can also put it back to the existing tables. In case if you have already data one data flow Gen 2, you can still copy it back, overwrite it up, or do deltas on top of it. So nicely written article, something that definitely I was going to try it out and probably create a video if
I was I was going to say, this is great stuff. This is, and I love to see the service continuing to evolve in Dataflow Gen 2, because it's very, very promising to give people the capability to utilize Spark, but the power of data flows. I mean, essentially, we've got Power Query that we're sitting here playing around with. We're building sandcastles with bulldozers here, which is pretty cool stuff if you think about it. Speaking of pretty cool stuff, this week we had a great interaction on LinkedIn. And of course, it was with MVP Erin DK. And Erin has a wonderful blog that he had mentioned, how to use MS Spark Utils notebooks, run multiple in notebooks in Microsoft Fabric. Now, he runs through this, and I'm just going to highlight a couple things because I want you to go and I want you to check out his amazing content. By the way, all the content that we are showing today is already on the description of the video. So if you take a look at that on YouTube, if you're looking for any of this or the links to any of it or the names of the authors so you can connect with them, all you have to do is open up that description and go and check that out. And so what he shows us is how to be able to use MS Spark Utils notebook run multiple. Not only can you run multiple, but you can pass through, you can have args and activities. He identifies a couple of the key things in here: the name, the path, the arguments for the notebooks, number of retries, dependencies. And to me, that's huge right there. The fact that you can list a dependency. So this notebook has to have run before this next notebook runs is absolutely fascinating. I love this functionality. Loved it when he posted it, and I told him I was going to immediately grab that and put that on my list. So that is the first link I'm using today. So much wonderful content on his blog as well. I want to give a shout out to that because he has organized a whole Fabric section where he lists a ton of resources within the Fabric community for blogs, for videos. So you want to make sure and go check that out, and then browse around the site and find the other useful content that is there. It's absolutely amazing. Speaking of absolutely amazing, I saw this next article and I knew it had to be from an amazing man. It piqued my interest immediately. And of course, it's a good looking man with a beard. You know who I'm talking about. The mountain man, Mr. Daniel Taylor, with Snowflake Dynamic Data Masked Examples by Sergey Giovoyan. Dan, what do we got here?
Sorry, Josh, and I'm realizing I'm going to have to get a curtain or something because apparently it's really bright today. Great article. And somebody asked me this question. They were like, do you have is there data dynamic masking in Snowflake? I didn't know the answer. I don't work with Snowflake a lot. So I did my old Google search, and lo and behold, just recently, Sergey put out this article. And the problem was, the solution here, problem/solution, is Sergey gave an example of dynamic data masking in SQL Server, and in here, he's comparing it to Snowflake. And dynamic data masking, if you don't know, is essentially column level security where you can provide folks access to the columns in tables or views that you only want them to see. Well, goes through the solution, creates the database, creates some tables, creates the different roles, and then goes through and creates some policies for these different roles and shows what the outcome is after he applies this data dynamic masking. I'm not going to share the conclusion with you because I want you to read this article. It's a very interesting conclusion and the different parallels between SQL Server and Snowflake. Go ahead and read this article. It's a good one.
Excellent stuff. I was going to say, I always love learning something new. That was something new for me. And then I turned around and I looked at this, and wow, did this have me at the title? Speaking of having me at the title, it was the same way when I saw this man today. I went, wow. Of course, you know who I'm talking about, Mr. Andreas Padilla, using Azure AI Document Intelligence with Microsoft Fabric. I mean, that's a big wow right there. What do we got, buddy?
Oh my God! You know what this reminds me of, you guys? Remember the episode where Kramer and he adopts a highway and he's got wide lanes? This is that episode. You got wide lanes to bring in AI document service, do optical character recognition, do this in a notebook and Fabric. I love this by Rob Corey. You guys got to check him out on YouTube. He's got awesome posts. But what he shows us here is how to bring up a notebook in Fabric, go and get a sample data set for W-2s, which you can find publicly available in Kaggle, which is cool. Then you bring all those images in. You run the Python code, shows you how to do that. Connect to Key Vault, connect to your Azure Document Intelligence instance. Go through all the images, do optical character recognition, put them to a Delta table. Man, this is awesome.
I was going to say he's got it all. This is going to be really fun to play around with later. I'm looking forward to going through this. I was going to say, speaking of something I was looking forward to, I look forward to every time I get together with this man. And once again, I looked forward to reading this document because it was just wowing me from the beginning. Of course, you know what I'm talking about. It's Mr. Josh Luedeman, the man in a hat, with your data is now generally available in an Azure OpenAI service. Josh, what is on your data?
So on your data is really neat. It allows you to create your own copilots quickly, right? I mean, we've shown through presentations we've done, Brad, specifically you, and the great keynote you did at Live 360, talking, using a copilot to actually get into your data. This is actually giving you the opportunity to get a little bit faster going on it with specific data sources. Because again, this is just getting generally available, but it opens up, the ability to use like Mongo vCore, blob storage, local files, and actually use your own data without having to worry about getting into incorporating RAG because it's already incorporated, and being able to use that and vector and hybrid search and all that to be able to get into your own data with enhanced security. Because obviously the main use case we're looking at with this is enterprise, stuff like that. So it's really just a great solution to help, some folks get going a little bit quicker on that.
Excellent. I love this. I love the capabilities that we're beginning to get that are just so ubiquitous of being able to work with our data and being able to put the power of AI in place on it. Great stuff, Josh.
Well, and I figured you would, so I was going for brownie points so that maybe one of these times, these awesome introductions you give for the other people, you'll actually bring a couple my way, but we'll see.
You know what? You deserve a couple. And by the way, you're wearing one of my absolute favorite hats that I've got from you. I've got 3 hats up here for you. Every time we get together, I forget to give you the hats. But yeah, that's a Haunted Mansion hat, as a matter of fact, from Disney World. The mini one came from Disneyland, and then I've got hats from around the world. We've still got to. Every time we get together, though, I forget to bring the hats. So I've got to get you some of your new hats here pretty soon.
Wow, somebody's getting 3 gifts.
Yeah, and I don't get this one out as much. And it's honestly, it's one of the best fitting hats out of all of them. But I'm also, let's be honest, I'm a plump gentleman and I sweat an awful lot, and there is not a lot of breathability in this hat. So I have to wear it at home mainly just because otherwise I'll soak it. But anyways, next topic.
Yeah, next topic. Well, I was going to say it's one of my favorite because it's the first hat I got. And talking about some of the favorite things I've got. Of course, I'm talking about one of my favorites coming up. And I was fascinated because we actually did a video together very much on this topic. And I'm, of course, talking about Mr. Neeraj Jhaveri. You're talking about Databricks. We did some Databricks and Fabric videos together. But this is pre-Unity Catalog, RLS dynamic view row filtering. Walk me through this. I'm fascinated.
So this was thanks to Sandeep Pawar, Power BI guy. He put it up into our channel saying, "Can you highlight one of this blog written by Miles Cole?" He wanted to see if Miles can get some visibility. So yes, this is a nicely article. I read through the article, how to use row level security in Unity Catalog. I mean, Unity Catalog now has governance security already built in there. Miles goes into step by step how to do the implementing of dynamic view row filtering. He shows, I mean, he has also has code in there, so that is definitely good for people who are just beginning to use it up to start building this up. And definitely, I mean, Brad, I mean, I was exactly what you had said, right? Maybe the next step of the Databricks video number 2 is what this should be creating it up. So I'll walk through it, create a video, and get back to you.
Yeah, no, so we've got a question from Anil. I'm gonna pause for just a second. And Anil, just so you know, there's never a dumb question. We always appreciate every question. If we're running a database in a container, can we access the databases hosted in the container from Fabric? I'll be honest, this is not something that I've tried specifically. However, as long as you've got a public IP address um, from this, I think what you would have to use is a self-hosted integration runtime through Azure Data Factory. I don't think we're going to be able to get there directly from Fabric right now. However, we do have inside of Azure Data Factory the capability to hit destinations of one lake files. I've got a video up that we did specifically on importing SQL 2022 data, and as long as you've got a public endpoint that can be hit, I'm sorry, not even a public, just a public one on your network, a static IP address that you can hit from your individual network, you should be able to use that self-hosted integration runtime, access that through Azure Data Factory, and then you could use Lakehouse or One Lake files in a Lakehouse as your destination. Now, once you land it there, you're in Fabric. So from there, you'd be able to work with it just like any of the other videos we've got where you could create shortcuts to the data. You could pull this into a direct lake source using Power BI for reporting. You could use a notebook for it. Excellent. Okay, gotcha. Just wanted to make sure I wasn't going down the road. Appreciate y'all. Yeah, I was going to say, let me think about this. This might take me more than a week to be able to put together, but we could definitely show how this is capable. I just need to assign a container I have a public address. Dan, I see you're ready to hop in.
Yeah, no, just if Anil could provide us a little more information, like in the chat, and we'll move forward. But what is it, an Azure Arc Data Services type container, or is it just a plain old vanilla container that you're creating in Docker? Yeah, give us a little bit more information, because I'm with Brad. This seems like a really good video.
Yeah, absolutely. As a matter of fact, it definitely seems like something that we could sit there and work on together. Speaking of something that I want us to work on, I want to work on digesting this next one, because I really enjoyed finding this blog, Microsoft Apps for Multitenant SaaS by Olga Molciano Sireniu. And so one of the things that she did is she specifically put together an architecture for being able to utilize Fabric for SaaS environments. And if you aren't familiar with this, I know that we at Fast Track, we've worked with a lot of different teams over the years. We've actually had a team that worked specifically with customers who build SaaS-like solutions. And so we've seen reasons why people need SaaS infrastructures to be able to have multi-tenant capabilities. And so I found it fascinating to be able to look at the infrastructure she put together. The logic behind it, talking about tenant isolation, tenant monitoring, and then secure authentication for user services as well. Now, I'm not going to give everything away. I want you to go through here and I want you to read this. But if you are in a place where you're looking for Microsoft Fabric for multi-tenant SaaS solutions, this is definitely something that we want you to check out. A little more for now. Sure thing. Azure Container Registry and Docker. Excellent. Thank you, sir. This is some good stuff. Speaking of good stuff, of course, I'm thinking about up next. I've got the man himself, Mr. Daniel Taylor, with SQL Server code, writing SQL Server code with AI using GitHub CoPilot. Dan, what do we got here?
Every time I do this, I'm like and subscribe like I do on our other videos. This is really cool. So, been studying a lot about OpenAI lately, right? For the pre-con and the different things we're doing. This was really fun, and I was actually playing around with this a little bit. And a lot of people are afraid that Copilot and AI are coming for our jobs. It's not. And I don't know if folks ever remember using snippets in SSMS, where you could like hotkey and it would build out the T-SQL for you a little bit like that. This is like snippets on steroid, but even better. Daniel, who I've shared some links from before on Postgres, shared this little gem here, goes through what GitHub Copilot is, how you install it in Visual Studio and the different tools that you can use, but then goes through different examples of asking Copilot to write code for the project that you're working on. It creates tables. It created a DBCC shrink file. It did a bunch of wonderful things that we would normally maybe not have memorized off the top of our head because we don't write T-SQL every day. And once again, there could be errors in its interpretation, but it's really a helpful little tool if you forget something like, how do I do a DBCC of the database? This would write it for you. And it's it's just a wonderful little tool if you're working in Visual Studio. And I love shortcuts. I'm lazy. I would much rather be outside hanging with my friends than writing T-SQL statements.
I understand that. As a matter of fact, I wake up in the morning and Sue tells me that I see the sunshine and I go outside, outside, outside. I never want to stay in bed. As a matter of fact, I think I stand straight up from what I've been told, which is oddly like a vampire. But oddly, in a brilliant way, was this next one. And of course, the man I'm talking about is ageless like a vampire. And I'm talking about Mr. Andreas Padilla. Text to SQL LLM applications prompt injections. This had a really interesting description, Andres. Take me through here.
I'm going to take you through, but first I had a conversation with my wife and I told her, hey, I'm bringing back two things. I'm bringing back the high five and I'm bringing back the dab. And I'm bringing back natural language processing to SQL, but a different angle. In this angle here, Ian Ho, he does a great job of talking to us about security with text to SQL and prompt injection, troubleshooting of pitfalls that you can get into if you don't properly structure your prompts correctly. I love this because tons of companies are doing natural language processing to SQL. Thank you. Sorry,
that's okay. I didn't hold up the SQL jar, but good job catching that on your own, buddy.
There you go. To SQL. And you're going to have to, there's certain, at the very end of the article, this is what I want you to get to. There's certain things you can do to harden your process here. You can do permission hardening to the database. You can make sure that there's adversarial prompts in the mix. You can do natural language guards, and then you can make sure that you validate the queries before you send them in to your database. So a couple of extra little gatekeepers that you would want to throw in for prompt engineering security.
Wonderful, wonderful. And I love how we fit security there. Anil comes back again. This is one of the coolest cases for my GitHub for my demo database. Love CoPilot. Kudos to Microsoft. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Anil. We appreciate you. And speaking of a man I appreciate, let me give him exactly the due he needs. Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you at home and for the thousands watching around the globe, let's get ready to Luda. We've got Josh Luedeman up next with Unlock Your Career Potential with the Microsoft Fabric Career Hub. Josh Luedeman, please. You're not on mute. Take it away, sir.
Yeah, you're kind of scaring me though. I feel like now we went from hardly any build up to I should come out and deliver the people's elbow or something. I don't even know what's going on right now. No, so this is a great article. Again, the Educator Developer blog on Microsoft tech community. Want to give them another, applause, kudos, because if you remember about a month ago, I was here talking about a nice GitHub repo to give you, I think it was 12 steps to get up and going in AI and get your knowledge going in AI and LLMs. This is another great one that actually gives you a link to the Fabric Career Hub, which actually is a great place to be. If you actually go to that link, there's a lot of great resources in there, including, career guides, role guidance for, getting into either being an analytics engineer, data analyst, and data engineer, data scientist using Fabric. It goes through some great resources around group work, some links to learning rooms where you can actually sit and learn with some of the professionals. You actually get access to the Cloud Skills Challenge, again, the Learn Together, some exam cramming resources, practice tests for getting to the Fabric certification. And probably most importantly on the Fabric Career Hub, there is a nice yellow ribbon across the top reminding you about a wonderful event coming up at the end of March called the Microsoft Power BI, Azure AI, and SQL Learning event in Las Vegas, March 26th to 28th. And gives you a $100 off code. Take it away, Brad, because I'm not above shameless plugs like you are.
I was going to say that's a fantastic plug, and I love it because you're absolutely right. Now is the time for people to still save on the conference. And I got to tell you, there's as much conference around this excitement around this conference as I used to find. There's enough conference around this conference Conference. There's enough excitement around this conference. It reminds me of the past summit way back in the day when that used to be the gathering place for the community. Every single day I'm seeing new people come online and talk about how they're excited to be there. And it hit me that some of these folks I have not seen in 4 or 5 years. And I am so looking forward to being able to spend some time in person with them. Hope Foley is a big one. Hope has been here and helped us co-host before. And I'm really looking forward to seeing Hope. And I know Hope's going to be out there. Many other wonderful folks also going to be out there as well. But yeah,
There's
it's
so
got a
much
lot of buzz and
conference in this
excitement.
conference. It's unconferenceable.
You got the conference right. All right. And speaking of that, you can't have a conference without Neeraj Jhaveri. And so up next, I've got Mr. Neeraj Jhaveri with introducing public preview CoPilot for Power BI chat-based capabilities, summarize, inquire, and analyze. Neeraj, what do we got going on here?
So this week I win the biggest title award.
quite possibly. Let me scroll through here
I think
real
that's
quick.
safe.
I was going to say, looking at it, yeah, I think you got it.
Okay. And just for you, Brad, because if you are in the conference and if you want the co-pilot to be presenting instead of you just talking around, you can use this. Anyway, so Power BI just introduced co-pilot. One thing that you can do it, I mean, it is available on the F64 thing, but what it can do is it can give you insights to your data, right? I mean, if you are a report developer, you would really want to understand what the data, create the samples by itself. So what Power BI does, it is creates a sample in view mode. You can always change the customize the guidance, customize things in there after the Copilot builds a report on it. But this is how one by one step how Copilot can be used in Power BI, and you can ask questions to it also, right? I mean, at the bottom it shows how to unleash the power of questions and get answers back from the Copilot. So something that definitely, I mean, I loved it. I'm a lazy developer, so I love this, making Copilots as my go-to.
And I really want to point out that this is not just for developers, right? One of the things that's really important in here, and look, I'm going to widely admit this. How many times have you ever viewed a report before, and because of the way the report was organized, perhaps by someone like me who's not a report developer, and you went, "What am I looking at?" Being able as a consumer of the report to say, give me a summarization of the visuals on the page, give me an executive summary of this report, that's incredibly empowering for the end user to be able to take this and be able to use this to understand, hey, here's what's going on without me having to have that detailed knowledge and explanation of the data. Because we live in the data, right? But sometimes we take for granted that the executives understand the data that we put on a report. And oftentimes there's revisions, multiple revisions go into reports, and you'll end up doing things a little bit more. Honest question. Question from Anil. Honest question about SSRS. Is Power BI the evolution of SSRS? I'm planning to build some reports for the app. So I don't know that I would say the evolution, because one of the things you can do with Power BI Premium is you can actually have RDL reports. So you can migrate your RDL reports there, but think of Power BI as almost a very new thing. With the RDL reports, those were very tabular in nature. We would put something together and it would kind of loop that out on a page. We could have some headers, but largely what we were looking at doing is having repeating data sets. With Power BI, we're often trying to visualize the data in a way that conveys expression to an end user. And so there's a lot about report creation, a lot about report visualization, but it also gives you some deep analytical tools as well to be able to ask questions about the data, and then to be able to drill into the data. And when we drill into the data, that's when we're looking more at the tabular type of row set that we typically have on an SSRS report. So I would look at that as, more of an increased feature capability or feature sets that we have within Power BI. Outside of SSRS. So little bit different, but I see where you're going with that. I can pick up what you're putting down. And speaking of picking stuff up, I wanted to make sure to pick this up because I was going to say, when Koen Verbeek stops writing great blogs, I'm going to stop posting them. But I found this one by him that he had done very recently. What is event stream in Microsoft Fabric? We did some videos back in, I want to say it was July or August this past year, where I showed how we could use event streams and to be able to live stream data from the International Space Station so we could track its location around the globe. And what I really loved is not only did Kuhn tackle this, but he tackled it in a way that was very unique. He created an event hub to be able to show how you could do event hub processing directly through this. I used a logic app. He's using an event hub to be able to pick up data and to be able to send it over to his event stream and then be able to consume that. I'm not going to spoil all of this, but he went through great detail to be able to show you how he was setting this up so you could set this up as well. And then he finishes off the article by, of course, getting to a place where we can see some of this data that we've got. So really, really great stuff. Want to make sure that you go check that out. Let's see. And then Anil, for new projects, use Power BI for existing paginated ones, import the RDL, correct? Yes, sir. Yep, you got it in one. And speaking of absolutely nailing it, I mean, we're talking about a slam dunk here. Up next, we have a slam dunk. And it is Mr. Daniel Taylor with Chat with Your Data in Azure SQL Database. I'm setting a trend almost like Andreas setting up a story. What do we got with this, Dan?
So as long as there isn't like this circular thing coming from the sky and lightning coming down and some individual rising up from there called the Terminator, all this AI stuff is great. But I'm really starting to dip my toes, or actually I'm more than dipping. I'm jumping into the deep end with respect to Azure AI and the whole AI, open AI buzz, trying to learn it. We got to be there as DBAs. And Mazma Zaid writes this great article summarizing how we can chat with our data in Azure SQL Database. As a matter of fact, it made me have to go out and sign up for Azure AI so I could actually do this. I had planned on doing a demo for this, and I didn't have access yet. So she goes through creating an Azure AI search, then going through how you hook up your data source, then connecting with our Azure SQL database, talks about adding search fields to the index so we can utilize that data. You create an indexer to populate the data that we're going to be using our Azure AI against. Indexing that new and changed and deleted data gives a great hint here about that if we don't have changed data capture on, right, we can't get changed data in our indexer, and you'll walk through that. And then it goes through about using the chat playground, learning and optimizing, and then connecting with your web app. Great article. It's an intense one. It's a long one. It's more than just what she writes here on the page. There's a lot of work to get this done, but it is so much fun. I recommend going through this. Provides all the sublinks to do all the individual pieces. Really exciting. I haven't been excited about trying something new like this in a long while. Even though Josh, you and Brad have been trying to convince me to go down this route. I'm finally there, I guess. But yeah, it's a great article. Thank you so much to her for writing this and putting it out there for us.
Well, I was going to say it's like a daydream seeing you in the sunset, beginning to embrace AI, and that just puts me in a daydream for Andreas Padilla talking about unleashing the power of generative AI with Databricks SQL. So Andreas, walk me through this. Unleash the power, my friend.
Unleash the power. Well, remember the power of the 7-minute abs? Then there was the power of the guy who invented the 6-minute abs. And then there's these guys, Yatish Anand, who invented AI in Databricks using open LLMs in 3 steps. So we went from 7-minute abs to 6-minute abs to 3 steps to AI. Man, how can you get any better? What he shows us here is how to set up your environment, use AI query functions in Databricks, where you can start to leverage these functions to call these large language models in your SQL queries, or to take the response, the prompt that you get back, and then output into Power BI or to a reporting, dashboard. So I love this. So AI for Databricks, for which large language models, AI functions.
I love it. Absolutely fantastic. And speaking of fantastic, of course, I'm talking about the man who always is bringing up the end of our show with some of the best stuff in the business, and that is the man in the hat, Mr. Josh Luedeman. And we're going to AI Study Guide, Azure Machine Learning Edition. Josh, break down this study guide for me.
Yeah, so this is a great article from Natalie. Natalie put together A great study guide, because like I was talking about earlier in the episode, we had the great one from the educational blog, which was all about LLMs. This one takes it back a little bit further and goes, okay, LLM's great. What is machine learning even, right? And so this even takes you back further into the basics, kinds of gamifies it, puts robo in there, make it a little bit, a little bit more fun, not just the rigorous studying and all that. But the whole idea is taking you from a novice to an expert in 4 weeks in the, with this. But what it does is it mixes together a lot of good learn content, some documentation, some videos, and some hands-on tutorials. And then at the end, the bonus goodies, beginner's guide to AI with Azure Machine Learning, talks a little bit about GPT-4, prompt flow, deploying and fine-tuning models. But again, at the end of this, you finish the whole thing, you get a badge. I mean, that's a great thing to have on your LinkedIn profile, help you out, with your own, advancement of your own brand and things like that. So great article to share, I thought.
Absolutely. So I was going to say, fantastic stuff. Anil comes in, parameterized queries on steroids, for the great stuff, Dan. Absolutely. Looking at that video indexer. I made a comment. I'm looking for the 0-minute abs. And then Dan let us know that he's got abs. They're just hidden behind a curtain of mini donuts. I like that. Josh?
Well, I was going to say the 0-minute abs, they're not as impressive as you would hope. I have them. They're not.
Oddly, they look like a zero. I tell my wife, I don't have abs. I have ab.
Yes.
Just the one.
They talk about, I want a 6-pack. Boy, I got a keg.
So the one thing I'm gonna, as we finished up the content, I'm gonna make sure I make a call out to this. So we talked about the AI pre-con that we are doing over at Jacksonville. Under 3 weeks. I'm going to be over in London, and I'm going to at Farmington, to be specific, at SQL Bits. And myself and Mark Price Mayer are going to be doing the pre-con from beginner to certified a fabric analytics engineer workshop. You want to go and check this out. This is going to be a 4-day course that we've crammed into one. We're going to provide people with a ton of resources and learning, but also if you're looking to take this certification, you're going to get 50% off for this. If you miss your chance to go do that, you are in luck. The following Friday, I will be in Vegas with Mark Price Mayer and also Shabnam Watson, both of whom joined us on our Fabric monthly update stream today, where Mark previewed Snowflake to Fabric mirroring. Absolutely fantastic stuff. Bradley Chat was also on there from the Fabric Cat team. We covered some of the monthly announcements. We did a couple demos. We had a real good time. So you want to make sure that you check that video. That was live streamed earlier today, and that is on the front of the page of our catalog list. We've also, again, one more shout. Let's look at Jacksonville. Dan and I, we just got our acceptance, I think, the other day. We're going to be up in Atlanta on April the 20th for SQL Saturday Atlanta. I'm very excited for that event as well. Guys, anything else that I'm forgetting? Anything else you wanted to cover?
I will wave to England from the Caribbean at you, my friend.
That sounds good to me. I can't wait for I can't wait for your cruise, man. I'm hoping you have a great time. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us for the Azure Data Community Roundtable. We appreciate you. Anil, thank you for all the questions. It was wonderful interacting with you, sir. Please make sure and follow us on Twitter. More importantly than anything, to one another out there. For Daniel Taylor, Josh Luedeman, Neeraj Jhaveri, Andreas Pilia, my name's Bradley Ball. Take care, everybody. We'll see you next time.
All the shit that causes temptation. I know that I like to do it cause it's sensation. I live my life in my head like a narration. Don't expect greatness.